So today I am here with a buddy of mine, now probably 4-ish years since we've gotten to know each other, Kevin Kochiss. Kev resides in Fairfield. He runs KMK Fitness in Fairfield. And there's so many things we could talk about. And I was thinking about how we should tackle today's podcast. We're both growing businesses in our 20s right now. You're how old?
29.
29, okay. And I'm 27 in a couple weeks. Your vertical is health and fitness. Mine is real estate and mortgage financing. We're going to talk about your business building kind of chronologically, lessons you've learned. There's a lot of them that you and I have talked about. But before we start, I want to say that us becoming friends has greatly improved my life.
Awesome. That's really good. Really good to hear. That's the best thing you can hear, honestly.
We were introduced by Keenan Carey, good friend of both of ours, who I met in July of 2020. And I think we met probably shortly after that. And I believe that is a person you have friends in different buckets. So I wrote down business, real estate, running, tennis, yoga, boating, golf, cigars, etc. And the friendships that really you cultivate over a lifetime, they get deeper, the ones that fill multiple buckets. We originally met, and you filled the fitness bucket for me. And from when we met to where I am now, fitness-wise, the amount of energy I have, so much I've been able to learn from you, which I'm grateful for. So us meeting has definitely improved my life personally. I have a lot of energy probably because of it, but it is unbelievable, dude.
And obviously vice versa for me too, so.
Oh, on the business side, real estate.
Business side, I mean, like, even just watching you and how you've grown AFC, it kind of definitely inspired me and said, like, I could be doing way more. I could be, you're, like, every hour of the day calculated, so that really, like, inspired me, relationship-wise, work-wise, everything like that, to be super calculated and everything like that. So
yeah, hell yeah.
Good.
Love it. So with all that being said, dude, let's give some background on growing up, the family, give some history about you before we dive into KMK, what it is today, what you're focusing on, building a business in your 20s. And I started with your grandfather because you want to give some background on who he was and why you might be like him?
Yeah, so my grandfather was a, big-time entrepreneur. He opened up multiple businesses, but his main one was sports marketing. And he kind of set the groundwork for the family. So he, started this company, got real estate, and he pretty much set, my mom up, my aunt up. We always could work there if we needed to. And I was always super inspired by him. And I'm like, wow, look at this, legacy this guy created for his family, not just for himself. And how many lives he touched, how many people he helped, how many, people he just knew. Like, everywhere he went, he would be, talking to someone that he knew. And I was like, wow, I really want to be like that one day. He passed away when I was pretty young, but still he made a huge impact on my life. And, that was kind of what I wanted to do was, be an entrepreneur. And at that time, I didn't know what it was yet, but I know, like, I really wanted to make an impact on the community, the world, and my family. So, that was inspired by him.
Love it. The agency's still around today. Mom runs it with her sister.
Yeah, my mom runs it with her sister. It's called Silverman Group. Yep.
Awesome. Based in New Haven. Downtown, right? Downtown, Orange Street? Or
yeah, Orange Street. Yep.
Fantastic. I remember visiting. The building's great. Love it.
Building's great. And, he got that, so long ago and, obviously, made a great deal on it. So that also inspired me for real estate too. So
awesome. Now, your dad has a different path than your grandfather.
Yep.
Your dad has been working at Sippin Energy for 30 years, right?
Yeah.
And I know you and me had this conversation about he's going to have a great retirement. Yeah. He's going to retire. He's going to be completely financially well off. But that was a completely different path than what your grandfather took, right?
Yeah.
And kind of what you're taking now as well.
Yeah. It was really good to see both sides, with big risk comes big rewards, I always think. And, I kind of took both sides of it. Like, my dad was so hardworking where he would put in 60, 80 hours a week for 30 years. And I'm like, if I could take that consistency, like, he was always consistent, always did his job, and then beyond some. And I feel like nowadays a lot of, like, the work ethic is kind of, like, lacking with the younger generation. People think they work a lot when it's like 40 hours a week. And, I pointed my dad to that where it's like, he's always working. But now I kind of painted that picture and say, like, hey, I want to, like, make money when I'm not working. And so I don't have to work 60, 80 hours a week when I'm older. I can retire younger. I can do what I want, be with my kids as much as I can. But my dad really taught me that consistency of, hard work, showing up every single day, consistent for years, decades, stuff like that too. So not changing jobs and careers every couple of years, just staying consistent with one and being really great at one thing. So
I think it takes having one or maybe a second even generation in the family that is a grinder that works a W-2 corporate hourly job that lays a great groundwork and base for future generations to build upon that. Because if your dad, for example, did not do that, you would not have the education that you had and the opportunities. And this is for me saying, for what I look at when I look at my grandfather, then my parents, and then me, I could take a lot more risks because my parents and previous generations laid a great groundwork. Like, God forbid I go to zero, to move back in with my parents.
Exactly.
I'll be back on my feet in 6 months. So it allows me to do that. But I'm grateful for past generations. And I think the same thing with your dad.
100%.
Laid it up so that you could take bigger swings.
Yeah, and like knowing that, like, you know, exactly what you said, like worst case scenario, you know, having great parents, great foundation, I could always, you know, fall back on them. So that was like a big, you know, thing for me. Going out and starting my own career was just like, hey, worst case scenario, this is it. That doesn't sound too bad. Let's take a huge risk. So,
Mom and dad been together a long time too, right? 30 plus years?
Yeah, I would probably say like 30, around 30 years. My mom will hate me that I don't know. Somewhere around 30.
And just you and Jess, right?
Yeah, me and Jess, my sister.
She's younger. Recently
engaged.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, great fiance, RJ. He's been part of the family for like, you know, 10 plus years. They were high school sweethearts. So yeah, awesome to see that. Wedding's coming up in June. So
love that. Where's that?
It's a Madison Beach Club.
Fantastic.
So get to make some speeches on that.
There we go. Unbelievable. Excited to see how those turn out.
Definitely.
So we're going to dive into running businesses in our 20s and your background. Because, I mean, it started looking at this ground zero. And what I want people to understand is that it does not happen overnight. Like where you are today versus where you started, night and day. So you get your personal fitness certificate in college, right?
I actually got it in high school. So when I was a junior in high school, I didn't really do anything with it. I was just like super curious. So I was always like fiending for knowledge, whatever it was. Like, you know, before being a trainer, I was like, you know, a big time basketball player. So I always, you know, looked up stuff on YouTube, went to camps. Like I always like wanted to consume knowledge. So I got my personal training certification, not to like go to work right away, but just to like understand things, like, you know, what should I be doing? And then I, you know, was starting to just like train kids for free in high school. Out of my garage, I would train like the neighbors and just say, hey, come on down. Like, let me write you a program. You know, that was when I was 17, 18. So it's been over like literally a decade just doing stuff, just figuring things out, trying different stuff, but always learning. You know, I feel like you can never learn enough in your field, always talking to people, you know, not thinking your way only is the right way, and try to get other people's opinions and, you know, just read and consume as much knowledge as possible. So,
So you've been doing this 10 years now at your craft.
10 years.
That's awesome. Your first job out of college, you work at a place in Milford area?
Yeah, so to even backtrack, so I got my certification in high school. Then I went got my bachelor's. Went to URI, got my bachelor's in exercise science, and then from there, right after I graduated, I was working and getting my master's degree in human performance. So I was working for, like you said, the gym in Milford. Great guy, Jim Ronay, competitive edge, still running. It's all sports performance combined with, you know, a little bit of physical therapy as well. So that kind of gave me like, you know, green light idea of like, hey, you know, this is like a great field to be in, an all-in-one kind of inclusive where you're dealing with injuries, but you're also dealing with performance. So, you know, he was a great mentor to me on the actual training side. You know, probably the best mentor I could ask for.
Unbelievable.
And then after I started working there, but you know, I think there was ways to improve his business where he didn't like take enough time into the business side and was just so knowledgeable. So I also saw that in my back end where I was like, okay, I need to learn more about this business.
We'll come back to that. Yeah.
Exactly. So,
so you're working at Roan Strength, and then after that you go work. You start at Yale, right?
Yep. I started at Yale.
At Roan Strength, what were some of the things that you learned that you would have done differently? Was it maybe location and clientele?
There was a couple things that I would do differently. Definitely location and clientele. I think like accessibility is one of the main reasons why people work out. You know, if there's a gym right by your work, you're most likely going to go to that, even if it's worse than 30 minutes down the road. You know, if you get the really dedicated ones that will travel for you, but all in all, it just has to be within a really
convenient.
Convenient. Then I saw, you know, second thing was, you know, constant improvement in the gym. I saw that like, employees and both clients liked when you updated the equipment, new artwork, expanding, offering different services because it shows that you care. So I thought that was really huge because we didn't do much of that, or we could have done more, I thought. And then just, having those go-to ways of getting more people in the gym. So like we said, have the school contract. So Fairfield Prep, St. Joe's, getting those school contracts is pretty much free marketing. And we didn't really have that at the first gym I worked at. So I thought we need some source of hey, this is our, go-to source to get people in the gym.
Drive top of funnel sales activity. Awesome. Yep. So you leave there, you end up going to Yale, right? And you're the strength and conditioning coach for...
Yep, assistant strength and conditioning coach for football and lacrosse. Lacrosse won a national championship, and football won the Ivy League championship too.
This is 2018? What year is this?
2018.
Awesome.
So, and I knew I always wanted to open up my gym when I first started working for Rhode, because I was like, man, I would love this job, but I knew I needed to put in more work, and I know that Yale job would have solidified me when I was talking to parents, be like, I have my master's degree, I worked at Yale, and all these things to back up what I'm saying. So I thought that was super important. So I knew at the end goal was open up my own gym, but I knew there was processes to take. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs today just want it right away, but they have to go through the certain steps and, become knowledgeable themselves, go through certain experiences themselves, and don't try to rush the process. So that was a big thing that I learned.
That's awesome. And exactly how it doesn't happen overnight. So you're at Roan at 23 years old roughly? You find out that you realize you want to open a gym.
Yeah.
So when do you actually open KMK? But there's some steps in between that we're not done with. But how old were you when you opened KMK?
When I opened KMK, I was
26?
25.
25. Okay, so 2 years. So during those 2 years, you go from Roan to Yale. You need to kind of pad the resume so that you could tell people that, hey, I've worked at these places, so they'll give you business or come in and train. You leave Yale and you start working at Equinox at some point, right?
Yep. So I knew I wanted to go...
Equinox high-end luxury gym.
Yeah, I knew I wanted to do that because now I had, the performance background, I had the education, got my master's, worked at a top school like Yale, but now I'm like, okay, now how do I learn the business side of training? How do I learn how to sell? How do I learn how to, attract wealthy clients, stuff like that? Because you can be the best trainer possible, but if you don't know how to talk to people with money or investors, it's gonna be hard to run a business.
Yes.
So, and I knew, kind of looked at top gyms in the area. I looked at Lifetime Athletic and then Equinox, and Equinox was very super high end, professional, a lot of high end clientele there. So I was like, I want to work there. So then I worked there for about 6 months. I knew I kind of always wanted to, use it as a stepping stone and just learn as much as possible. They were super good on just literally having classes on how to talk to people, how to sell people, how to market yourself. It was 2 times a week.
Wow, for the trainers.
For the trainers. So that's something that I took into KMK. I'm like, wow, I've never had this education before.
Yeah.
Actual stuff that will help, the next day, as opposed to going to college and doing all that stuff. It's hopefully you'll learn this or use this down the line, but you might not even use it. This was factual information they could use tomorrow. So which is great.
Unbelievable. I didn't know they have that robust training.
Yeah.
They have a lot of trainers there too. I work out there, and there's a lot of people on the floor.
And and again, you learn stuff in each experience. And I was like, I wasn't happy as a trainer because there were so many trainers. So it was just I'd rather have a team of 5 to 6 killers than 30 people having 2 clients. And then it's just so spread out. It's no one's really winning.
Yes.
Everyone's kind of just doing average. I'd rather have 5 people who can support their family super happy, and then 5, 6 people that are wow, this is the best career ever, than 30. Oh yeah, it's okay. I work 2 hours a day kind of deal.
Yeah. When you have a smaller group of killers, I think it helps. One, it's easier to manage, and you can coach and train easier. Yep. And also being in a group of those, if you're actually the one in the field, you'd rather be surrounded by people going balls to the wall because it motivates you as well. There was one more step before you open KMK, right?
Yep.
So you meet Rob Manning, right?
Yeah, Rob Manning. Rob.
What's the story here? Which, by the way, he works out at the Equinox, I think, or no?
Yeah, he works out. I mean, I've trained him at his house, Equinox, Prep,
gotcha.
Kids, family, whole thing.
I've got to meet this guy. You talk about him all the time, amazing, but okay.
One of my biggest mentors. So I was training him at Equinox. He was Ivy League background. He went to school at Princeton, and he was, so we connected on the Ivy League, strength and conditioning.
Yep.
And from there, he was kind of just you gotta do something yourself. And I kind of told him my dream to open up my own gym, and he was like, well, what clientele you want to work with. And I was like, I really think there's a niche that's lacking in high school strength and conditioning. Like back then, no one had a strength coach. Now every high school has a strength coach, but no one really did. It was mostly like the football coach would, be the strength coach or like a teacher, but they didn't really have that, education, that experience. So he was like, well, I one of my best buddies, Tom Kern, is the AD there. Like, we should set up a meeting. And I said, yeah, for sure. And I didn't even really know what I was like getting into. I was just like, I'm just going to give a really detailed plan of what I would do. And, I met with the football coach, Keith Helstern, and Tom Kern, and, kind of the rest is history. And they were just like, right after the meeting, they were like, yeah, when can you start? So literally next day, quit Equinox. Didn't even ask how much I was making at prep because I didn't really care. I was just so excited to get the job. And I was like, this is going to be my future. This is the thing that we wanted to have at the old gym where we can like funnel kids. So I knew if I just kill it at prep, then it just comes like, let's find a space and we'll just funnel all this kids in Fairfield. So that was, a wrap after that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So when is this now? You're 25-ish, 20?
Yeah, 25. So as soon as I got the prep job, within 4 months of having the prep job, I opened up the gym because it was just so much, like I had so many parents reach out, dude, do one-on-one training? Can you come to the house? All of that stuff. So
and this is during COVID, I think?
COVID hasn't happened yet.
Gotcha.
So, so crushed it as a strength coach. I love going to all the games. I went to, pretty much every single, that was my life. I just lived in a 1-bedroom apartment in Bridgeport, went to every single prep event possible. I was like, I'm going to give this my all and just see what happens. And then, from there, like I was saying, a lot of the parents were asking, can you train on the side? And I was like, okay, now we have like a funnel. So now it's time to do it. And then started looking for places literally within 4 months of working at prep.
Where do you end up?
So we end up at the Sportsplex.
In Fairfield?
In Fairfield.
Near local?
Yep. Near local. Yeah, I
Candlewood Market over there?
Candlewood Market. I just wanted something that was close to prep because I know prep would be the funnel. So it was within like a mile. So it made sense to just, get something close to the school. Kids could come over there, train here. So it'd be nice and easy because like we talked about in the beginning, like accessibility, like there's no excuse for, you could literally not walk there, but, 2-3 minute drive. So it would be perfect.
So you start KMK is just personal training, right? One-on-one?
Just personal training. That was it in the beginning. It was like 1,200 square feet. It was just like a strip of turf with squat racks, and that was pretty much it.
Yep.
So, but then I knew, I was still the strength coach at the time, so I needed to know that we would have, trainers to work the gym too. So one of my good buddies, Justin Thomas, he helped me a lot in the beginning where he worked at Rone's with me. He also worked at Yale. So I was like, this is a very knowledgeable guy. He's also was the football coach at prep. So we have the prep connection, the Yale connection. He kind of shared the same vision as me. So I was like, this is going to be, the guy. If I'm at prep, he can help with things over there. So he was one of the first ones to be on board. And then after that, we just kind of like started, hiring people that I knew. I didn't want to go out and search for new clients. I met a lot of people at Yale,
new trainers to bring on the staff.
Yeah, met some people at Equinox. So I knew what the mold of the trainer should be. So all people that I knew, I didn't really have to do any interviews. I knew who they were as a person, how they were as a trainer, and I just tried to offer them something better than what they were currently doing. So, because if I put myself in their position, why would they leave if I was offering less money, less incentives, less all that? Like, why would you? So,
what did you do to do that? Was it more pay, better hours, more clients? What was?
Yeah, it was pretty much like selling them on a vision too. Yep. So, like, one thing that we had with there was two sides with Equinox. There was too many trainers. So there not enough clients to go around. And then at the personal training gym that I worked at, there wasn't enough clients. So I pretty much was like, hey, like I'm not going to do most of the training in the beginning. I'm just going to funnel people in here. So you guys are going to have a lot of clients. I'm only starting off with like 4 trainers. So like you guys should be booked most of the time, which they were. So it was like once you come in and start the new gym, everyone's all like, I want to see what the new gym is like. So it's pretty easy to get clients like right off the bat with that. So they were going to have more clients, better pay, which was like nerve-wracking for me because I'm like, damn, I'm already paying them X amount, which I've made mistakes in the beginning, but I wanted to, get the people that I wanted. So I knew I needed to over-deliver on my side. So
let's talk about opening the gym. I'm going to jump around a little bit. and the culture you built.
Yep.
Because you have a culture at KMK where kids want to come in, mostly high school athletes, some college athletes that are coming back or training too, but it's high energy, very high energy.
Yep.
Like, it's like music's blaring, like great environment.
Yeah.
I mean, I would call it high testosterone. That's what I would call it.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I always think that like culture is the most important thing, not even just in the fitness world, but like, think about what you guys built at this office, right? Like the culture, the name, like you want people to come into work and be hyped up to, get what they need to get done. And, you want your clients to feel like, oh, wow, this is, I walked in the studio, I was like, wow, this is a really nice studio you got here. So, you want your clients to feel good. You want your trainers to feel good. Bringing the culture all together is like what it's all about. So, and that stuff can't be replaced too. Like you could have a, shitty facility, but a great culture, great people will still come in that gym. So
yeah. Did you do anything intentionally to build that, or is it just you being you?
I think it's just me being me, the trainers being them, and just being true to who you are, not pretending to be anything that you're not. I think people just latched onto that. So because people could tell when you're kind of being fake and stuff like that. So and they like the realness of it too. So
yeah. You also hired trainers that you made sure were qualified because everybody has certifications, right? What do you make everyone get?
Yeah, so everyone had to get a CSCS at the time, so it's Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist.
Yep.
So to even take that test, you have to have a bachelor's degree. So, a lot of people can take an online test, like the test I took in high school. You could take online, anyone could take it. But the CSCS, you have to do months of studying. You have to have a bachelor's degree. They want you to have a bachelor's degree in exercise science. So that's 4 years before you even take this test. So my thing was like, if I want to sell high-end personal training to these parents, one, they could afford it because they're in the right area, but then two, like you're getting a high-quality product for less than what you would get at, Equinox or something like that.
Yep.
So you're getting better training, more personalized than Equinox at a lower rate, or other surrounding competitive gyms, so it would be kind of like a no-brainer in a sense. So
you built KMK off of one being more personalized training than Equinox. Two, it was like Roan, but better location, clientele that could afford it.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep.
And then the third thing I would say, and then you can add anything after this, but is having the supply of leads, which came from working as strength and conditioning coaches at these high schools.
Yep.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, biggest thing. And then obviously having each trainer, top line certification, they knew how to sell, they knew how to do all of that stuff. So I think, that was also huge. So
who's helped you? So let's talk about like now building a business in our 20s.
Yeah.
Who's been like the biggest help for you and maybe seeing a playbook or watching it unfold that you could be like, oh, this is who I'm following, or who's helped give advice?
There's been countless people. I feel like I don't even have enough time to thank everyone. I always say like the big three were like Nick Morris, Mark Cirilli, Rob Manning. They were kind of like helping me in the beginning, and it was really good to talk to them. And now I realize everything that they're saying was so true. Because in the beginning, I was kind of like worried financially. I'm like, how am I gonna pay this rent bill, pay all these trainers, get all this equipment? And I was, asking for, investors, and they were all like, you don't even know what this thing is yet. We don't want to, take a high percentage. Just, don't ask for money. Get a loan from bank or something like that, and come talk to us in a couple years. Once you have something on paper. And at first, I was always like, what, they don't believe in me. Like, why is this happening? But now, I mean, like, I've had people come to me to invest in their companies, and I, say like, I don't really do startups. I don't know about you if you want to do that, show on paper that you've been good for a long time, consistency, that you can consistently get better and grow each year after year after year. So they were a huge help in the beginning because they could have taken advantage if they wanted to. They're a lot smarter than me business-wise. They could have been like, yeah, we'll give you a small amount for 40% and we wouldn't be standing here today. So they really cared about me, and they didn't, care about making a quick dollar. They cared about, molding me as an entrepreneur and as a businessman, because they saw kind of how hungry I was. So I ton to thank to them. Also your mom too. I was training your mom. She was big on, how you treat your employees, and like what I learned from her is how to make, money outside of the gym. because you don't want that to be only your source of income. So, and talking to you and V too, you know, real estate, stocks, all that stuff. And it was good to just like get different backgrounds, because what those three taught me were kind of like how to make it in business. And like your mom was like kind of, hey, this is how you can make, you know, extra income, you know, all this stuff. So you don't have to always rely on that one source, because what happens if that source dies? You know, now what do you got? So
yeah, 100. We'll talk about other things you're doing too a little bit later. I believe that the business is, there's like three big pillars. First one's sales and marketing.
Yep.
Second is operations and building systems. And then the third is the financial aspect.
Yep.
So sales and marketing, you're really hammering schools and driving people to the gym that way, right?
Yep.
That's the main thing. What have you done in regards to like building out systems in the operations side?
Yeah, so
because you can't do everything yourself.
Can't do everything. Like the first year to two, I was, and then I was getting super burnt out. But then also like the quality of the training kind of fell a little bit, because I'm trying to do the marketing, trying to meet with this, you know, banker, trying to do X, Y, and Z, and I didn't really have time. So
now, when you say doing the marketing, you were probably sending out text messages.
Yeah.
What were you doing?
I'm big on like guerrilla marketing.
Yeah. So what was it? Share with everybody.
Like, you know, DMing someone who liked the Instagram. Like if someone took the time to comment on KMK's Instagram, or DM, like whether it's fire emoji, muscle emoji, like you write that down and be like, oh, this person is somewhat interested, that they took time out of their time, took time out of their day to comment, or they're always liking. So, you know, I'd let a couple days go by and be like, hey, why don't you come in? You know, you haven't even been in the gym yet. And you're always, I see you view every single story when you come in. And then I would, you know, go that way. So I was big on that. That's like old school. But then obviously in the schools, every single day, I would try to fit as many kids as I could from prep in the car to bring them to the gym. Like first couple months, I was like pretty much essentially free training for a lot of people, just to get our name out there, get the people in there, take videos. I would always try to get, you know, the captains of each team. That was big on marketing too, because I would get them in the gym, just say, hey, if you don't mind, just, you know, throwing it up on your story. Some of these kids have, you know, 10, 20,000 followers. Yeah. And if it came, you know, very generic, like, you know, just they wanted to do it. So, you know, their 10, 20,000 followers were like, oh, wow, he's at this new gym. It looks sick. And then they would follow the KMK page. Then I would shoot them a DM. Hey, do you want to come in for a consult? And that's kind of the cycle of it. So I would try to get the top guys in there, try to get them to post, try to get them, you know, almost like a referral system. Every person you know, give me, I'll give you, you know, a free session. So that was big on that. And I didn't even know what I was really doing with marketing, but I was just like, this makes sense. So kind of just, you know, go for it.
I mean, it's funny. You gave things away for free to get people in the door. Yeah. Then you got reviews.
Yep. Reviews were huge.
Or case studies. And then do that filtered more clients. That's like any business to start.
Yeah. And I think when you start a business, you have to like not be so, I need to make money right away, because then you'll miss out on like, you know, if you're always trying to like get the margins right away, or say we need to hit this month, like in the first 6 months, you should just try to make a name for yourself, get your Google reviews up, get the culture in place, set the systems. Everyone tries to make money right away. And I think that's like a big, you know, no to do in terms of when you're just starting. Cause I think, you know, doing it that way is slower, but it'll just be better over time. Cause once you build that foundation, people aren't going to leave if they like it. So they're going to be like a lifer, you know.
I love that. And I think I wrote it down because this is what I think about when I think of business is you're building long-term goodwill with people. So instead of trying to milk $1 right away, build goodwill, and then you'll get more referrals and your business will grow down the road.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
I mean, if you have one good client, they could, you know, get their whole family, which is, you know, I've trained, you know, a dad before, then he gets his wife in, he gets his 2 sons in, those 2 sons bring in 4 people, and keeps cycling just all from this one person, because I treat him really well. You know, I gave him a discount on the training and all this stuff, and took him out to dinner a couple times. And I wasn't doing that to try to get business from him. I just like talking to him and stuff like that. And you know, I feel like when people like have a good bond with you, they want to help you out. They don't need to help you out, but they want to. So
I love that. You brought up a good point there too. So like in my business, for example, when you help somebody get a loan, you typically charge on the broker model. There's broker and lender, but the broker model, you charge 2 to 2.75% to originate a loan for somebody. Yep. So a $500K loan, it's between like 10 and 14,000, whatever that number is. But if somebody's a repeat client, we're always at the lower end of that because they're coming back to us. We're not going to charge them on the higher end. And if they're a multiple repeat client, we're charging them usually less than 2. Yeah. Because we want to take care of them, get referrals from them, and show them, you know, that we're not trying to retire on one deal. Yeah, yeah. Same thing with you. You know, it's not like you're going to make money and retire after helping one client.
Yeah, that's huge.
So that made me laugh.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think like you can look at any business, whether it's like real estate and fitness, and kind of point out factors that make sense for both, like you just said. Take care of the people who have been with you for the beginning, repeat business, all of that. So,
how's it been giving up, like delegating and giving up control?
I mean,
how have you done with that?
You do it too, so we can have a good convo about
you can ask me that. I can tell you how it's going. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's obviously super hard in the beginning, and like you just have to like take a step back and you have to understand that people are going to make mistakes, and you have to take responsibility for yourself too, rather than just like blame that person. Be like, oh, they didn't do it right. Like, did you communicate exactly what you want? Did you communicate exactly how you wanted it to be done? Like multiple conversations, and they're not going to get it right the first time. Like in the beginning, I was trying to make every single person like me, when really you kind of have to appreciate who they are. Like they have different traits than you. They have pros, they have cons. You have pros, you have cons. So kind of just like accepting them for who they are, and then just putting them in the right position for them to win, as opposed to like making a second you. So that's kind of like what I learned a lot with like delegating tasks and stuff. So never put someone in a position that they wouldn't be good at naturally. Whatever they're good at naturally, I think it'll just, come to them, and then that's the role they should succeed in. So yeah.
I'll give an example. So you talk about delegating a task and in the mistake not being on the other person. It's always falls on me or you if it's your business, for example. All comes down to training.
Yeah.
So I have an awesome assistant. Carly's based in Florida. She calls up a lead last Thursday, I think. And Friday, I was out of the office, or I was on calls all day, and I had a content day here. So there was a lead that was referred to us that we were going to schedule a consultation with. Now, typically, if I'm talking to that lead, like if it was me, Carly's been onboarding leads and has done a great job with it, but I'll ask, hey, what's your time frame? Yep. Because it's a Thursday. If they all of a sudden want to buy something or put an offer in this weekend, I need to talk to them immediately.
Yeah.
But if it's like 6 months, I got to wait till Monday.
Yeah.
So we book them Monday.
Makes sense.
And then Monday we reach out like, hey, we're looking forward to our call. They're like, oh, we already put an offer. We went elsewhere because we were looking at houses. So I realized it was my fault training-wise where I didn't let Carly know, hey, you need to ask this question because then we need to gauge their time frame, and I would drop what I'm doing to have that conversation. Yeah. And it all fell back on me because I didn't train her to ask the right questions.
Yeah, exactly. And I think just taking responsibility, that's like the biggest step.
Yeah.
I would always in the beginning say like, like that exact case, that was their fault, but I was like, I never even educated them on that, or never told them that was how to be done. So yeah, that's a good example.
Mm-hmm. What's it been like hiring new talent, firing, people on the team, and then just managing? For me, I've now had a few team members. So somebody comes in, they talk to Carly. She schedules a consultation with me. We have a pre-approval specialist who does the pre-approval. Then we have it goes into processing, underwriting, and closing. So it's quite a round team. Like it's not just me that's the face. I'm the face, let's say, or my brother Vito, but there's a whole team supporting us. I've had to hire and fire people. What's it been like for you, finding the right talent, letting people go? Any examples?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously super hard letting people go because there's an emotional aspect. I get a lot of like very close with my my employees because I consider them like family. But I think when you fire, if you just give them exact examples, give them a couple chances to redo their mistakes, but be very clear and say like, hey, these are your numbers the last quarter. I'm going to give you a whole quarter to make it up. But if you don't, then like I have to let you go. So giving them like a very clear definition of if you don't hit this, like you're going to be out, and you don't have to attach emotion to it. You're not like, it's not like I don't like you. It's not like you're doing a good, but like they need to be like this. So exactly same thing for you. I think when you give people concrete numbers, it falls on them and they can't say anything bad to you because they're like, well, he gave me 3 months to do this and I just didn't do it. So yeah.
I think when it comes to setting like standards, in my business, I cannot control. So I do not worry about things I cannot control. And the things that I can control, I find that people get anxiety because they don't have a plan in place to tackle the things they can't control. For example, if I have a loan that's in the process and something is going wrong with that loan, anxiety will creep up and I will become nervous and be like, oh God, and it'll start like biting at you. if you don't put a plan in place and tackle it. But if you say, all right, I'm going to call up everyone, alert them of what's going on, let them know what we're doing to fix the problem, and then let them know when I will follow up with them with an update.
Yeah.
If you do that, anxiety goes away. Now you can start working on solving the issue.
Yeah.
And then you can focus on the task at hand.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing. The second thing that you can't control in my business, let's say, is the market, the macro market, where if interest rates are going up, like they have in the last like 2 years, there's going to be less transactions.
Yeah.
So I can't control how much business we're going to fund.
Yep.
What I could control, though, is how many conversations I'm going to have a week and how many outbound dials I'm going to have and how many meetings I'm going to try and set.
Yep.
So I think a big thing for business owners is talking with, like, let's say their sales team or their ops team of, here's what we're going to track you on, and we're going to track you on things that you could control.
Yeah.
Because if I'm talking to Vito and me and now Trevor, it's like, hey, these are what we need to do. We need to have 60 conversations this week. If we have 75, we're going to be in great shape.
Yeah.
And then that's what we'll track. I'm not going to be like, we got to close 9 loans this month or 10 loans, because we can't control that.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big thing too.
Huge thing. Yeah. I mean, and then, same thing with training, how many games did you go and attend? How many conversations did you have with parents there? How many times did you post on your Instagram, some of your clients? How much did you reach out to your clients, your current clients, repeat clients, on how their game was? So those are like controllables that you could count on too. So I think it's just putting all the control on them. Hey, I don't want to let you go, and I don't want to see you go.
Yeah.
I want to see you do good. If you do good, that means the business does good, and like we're on the same team.
Yeah.
When you do good, I do good, and we're both happy. But it's all within your control, and this is how I need you to do it. So,
You have any tips for hiring? As I crack open another Pellegrino.
I love this stuff. Hiring, I think I feel like you could always teach people specific ways. Like I could always teach people how to be a better trainer, but I can't teach people how to be a good person, how to be likable. I think the biggest tip on how to hire is like, are they likable? Because in any industry, if people like you and you could talk to people, you're probably going to do good. So whether it's real estate, trainers, like I ask, can you have they always call the beer test. Can you have a beer with them?
Yeah.
Or can you go out with them? Are they normal? Can they talk to multiple people? That's what I'm really looking for when trainers are kind of on trial. Like I'll give them an adult client, a younger client, a guy, a girl, every single type, and I'll see how they react to them and hear their response on them. And also if they're the controllables, whether they show up on time, everything speaks volume. Like I don't want to hear an excuse that there was a lot of traffic. No, there's no excuse. Yeah,
just get there
on time, and then I feel like likability is the biggest thing that I look for, honestly.
Yeah, attitude's huge.
Attitude and likability. Yeah.
So I do a lot of Zoom interviews because now our business is changing. We're hiring remotely, more than in person. So right away, if somebody's not excited to be on the conversation,
exactly,
I really don't waste my time.
Yeah,
I'm like, hey. Honestly, it doesn't seem like you're that excited for the position. Yeah. I don't want to waste your time or mine. Like, hope you have a great day. Yeah. And I'm on to the next.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
I had Vito in the room. He's looking at me like, what'd you just do?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm like, dude, I knew it was. I had a bad feeling it wasn't going to be a fit.
Yeah.
Not worth it.
And you also got to trust your gut too, because if you can tell right away, you need to be like, I need to hire that person. Yes. Not like, oh, they might work out. So every great trainer that we've had, even from the beginning, I'm like, we need them. Like whatever they want, give it to them. So that was when you want to feel that way. Yes. It's like you're dating them. Yeah. You don't want to date someone that you're like, oh, feel like they're okay.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you really like them. So.
I love that. So one thing that I do with hiring, so it's a lot of remote, and I do video applications per se. So I'll put up a job post on Indeed, and I request that every person send me a video text message or a video email to a certain email, that I've created, hiring at afcmtg. Whatever.
Yep.
And that one, it's at the bottom of so there's a job description. Your business is going to be different, but there's a job description. At the bottom, it says, if you're interested in this position, please send a 1-minute video of why you would be interested in this position and what caught your attention. Yeah. So it automatically filters out a ton of people.
Yeah, because they're not comfortable on camera.
They're not comfortable on camera. They don't even read the whole post, and then they actually have to go send it to me.
Yeah.
Then I take the videos, and then I can look at the resumes and pick who I want to go with from there.
Yeah.
And then when I'm hiring overseas talent, I'm having them do tasks of what exactly they will be doing. So I might say, send me a 1-minute video of why you want the position and complete this task and send me a video of how walking me through how you did it.
Yeah.
So I could see how they think.
Smart.
And that's worked so well with getting qualified talent that wants to join the team.
Yep.
Because people are then going to be proactive about it too.
Yeah.
And you could tell from the video. You don't even have to hop on a phone call. You could get an idea of what their attitude's going to be,
100%.
Energy, all that, because they're talking to a camera.
Yep. And I think a big part about not even just hiring, but like maintaining good people who work for you, because I feel like there always comes a time and point where, they're doing really good and they don't see, like one of your top people, maybe they don't see growth opportunity. Maybe they're like, well, I either want to start my own or this is as much as I could make. So you always kind of like those, it's almost like a rehire almost. So you want to just be like, how can I keep my top people happy? Because, I don't want to do this without you. I feel like, so giving your like top people just always incentives, talking to them, hey, like, what do you want? And then, if they want something that's out of the ordinary, just be like, hey, well, I know you might want equity, but, if you did want that, then you would have to put money in and deal with the bills. Like, you probably don't want that. Like, you think you do, but you don't.
Yeah.
So, and then kind of just point out, this is what I think would make sense. And always kind of giving them more as they give more to you, because, they're giving your all to you. So you got to respect that and, always give incentives.
I love how you say rehiring. I think that's a great idea. One thing with incentives, though, that I want to talk about, because you mentioned this, is giving bonuses or giving these incentives or whatever we want to call it, extra comp, et cetera, based off of feelings versus analytically approaching that situation.
Yep.
What did you used to do? What do you do now?
I used to do on feelings. So, like, if some employees or past employees were upset, I would always be like, oh, let me raise it a little bit. Let me give you a little here because, I value you. Yep. But as opposed to saying like, very analytically, because when you're talking about business, it's all about analytics. It's about margins. It's about all that.
Yeah. So
as well with emotions. So, you talk to them, find out their emotions on why they want more. And then you say like, well, I think this is what you're worth more, what you're granted more by these numbers. So then they could see it too. So I think that's always key too.
So you're looking at maybe how many clients they've worked with in the past, whatever, to give them something.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a big thing too with us. I could point to volume closed, for example, or I could point to, conversations had, meetings had, like bonusing people on things that you could point to a spreadsheet and be like, hey, this is what the numbers, they don't lie.
And I always tell trainers, I'm like, create more leverage for yourself. You can't have a conversation that you want to raise and you're 7 out of 8 in sales. Like I won't even entertain it. But if you're number one for 6 months in a row and you want to raise, well then, I'll see what I can do and I'll at least entertain it. So I always say like create leverage for yourself as an employee, to just go up there and say, hey, like this is what I bring to the table. Don't like threaten them, but like, because I had that conversation, with
someone else,
with Rene when I worked for him. I was kind of just like, this is what I bring to the table. I don't really see growth in this. There's no incentives. There's no, anything for me. Can we change that? And so
unreal.
I think that's huge. So creating leverage for yourself is big.
I think that's huge because it makes a couple things. One, it makes you're able to present it to the employer of like, hey, this is what I'm doing. So it's pretty black and white. And then it makes the employer easier too. It's like either they can agree. So one, if the numbers are the numbers, they're going to agree with you.
Yep.
And if they do, they'll pay you more or whatever, or give into whatever you're looking for if it's not money related. And if not, then you guys can part ways, or that it's not going to work out long term. Yeah, there's not room for growth.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like people don't understand, like from the owner's perspective, how much money costs, everything like that. They don't understand. They sometimes they see, and I didn't understand when I wasn't an owner. I was like, oh, there's so much money going on, but it's like you got to pay so much out that you don't understand what they go through, and that it's hard to sleep at night sometimes. There's a lot of responsibility that comes with an entrepreneur. It's not just all glorified. So a lot of people just can't manage that stress and can't handle it. They think they want it until it's there, and they're like, I can't deal with this. So I mean, it's be careful what you wish for in a sense. So
I remember seeing my first P&L and looking at like a payroll tax. There was a tax for payroll.
Yeah.
Like you're paying 7%. Like so, if somebody's making round numbers, 100K, there's automatically another $7,000 expense tacked on. Yeah. And then looking at other expenses in a business that you didn't even realize. Yeah. Be like, oh my God, we're paying that much.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy.
Do you do anything? We started doing this this year actually. We did it in December, so now this is gonna be the 5th month. But where we sit down once a month, we print out our P&L year to date and month to month, and track all of our expenses and look at where are we spending money? Where can we cut back?
Yeah, so I have a virtual assistant, Matt Olival actually hooked me up with his company. Nice. He's been great. Shout out to Matt. But yeah, so she does all the analytics, sends it to me.
Like bookkeeping work and
bookkeeping, like she does everything. You know, all the P&Ls, and then you know I sit with a conversation, you know, with Chris, the manager, and you know he's been the backbone too of, you know, making KMK what it is. So I kind of, and he's the person I trust 100%, you know, trust Chris with my life. So we always sit down and have a talk each month and say, you know, wow, we're paying this much to this, like they're not producing. So let's have a talk with them. And then we give them a warning. Hey, like you got to produce better because we're paying you. And I'll show the employees the numbers too. Like this is what we're paying you. This is what you're bringing in. Like we're paying you way more than what you're bringing in. And it's in the negative. We can't afford to hire you. So, you know, we want to keep you, but it has to change, and give them a couple months. And then they're like, oh shit, I got to get on my stuff.
Yeah.
And now they'll actually start doing what they need to because their back's against the wall. They don't want to leave. And I always try to tell people, I'm like, why does it need to take you to get your back against the wall to have you do what you want to, like you should be doing?
Yes.
So it's crazy, but
people get comfortable.
Yep.
At the end of the day, anybody.
That's why I hate salaries, to be honest with you. I do everything in my right to avoid it. I'd rather all incentives, I get you have to have, you know, some salary to like live off of.
Yes.
But as soon as you give them a big salary, they can get super lazy, and it should be all, you know, I'll give you the world, but if you got to deliver the world too. So it's like, it should be all incentives in my opinion, but I know that's not how it works.
It's a good question. I mean, I think some positions are tough to compensate.
Yeah.
If it's not a salary.
Yeah.
But people are going to be motivated, and I think incentives are a big part of how people respond. You know, like what you are incentivizing them to do.
Yep.
Ideally, you pay everybody full commission or bonus, but I don't know how much work would actually get done. You know, the sales guys, like I would rather be full commission because I'll go out if I get to keep a larger percentage of the revenue. And hunt. You know, but there's only so many hunters.
Yeah, exactly.
And those are either top tier salespeople or they're business owners, in my opinion. You know, the top sales guys.
And I feel like all business owners are really good at selling. You can't be an owner without selling because you're selling yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
You're selling yourself, you're selling your business, you're doing all that stuff.
You have to. I mean, when you start, you need to be selling yourself, the business, the opportunity, why you're the right person to go to.
Yeah.
And I say, like, I was telling Vito and Trevor yesterday, I said, when I get on a conversation with a new lead, or I'm in an open house and I'm talking to a potential buyer, I truly believe, especially, like I tell people, we work primarily with first-time home buyers and real estate investors. And if they're a first-time real estate investor, I am the best person for them to work with. From knowledge of the loan process and what they need to do to buy their first house, and then build their portfolio and start scaling it into property number 2, 3, 4, 5. And experiences I've had with investing in real estate, from acquiring deals on and off market, creatively structuring them, financing them, dealing with contractors for renovations, GCs and subs, designing, you know, properties, decorating them with furnishings, leasing it, property management, and asset management. I'm the best person to go to. Now I can go out and sell a lot more confidently because I believe you know, that I am the fucking best person they could go to.
And you have numbers to back it up.
100%. And I think that if you, but you don't get there right away. So when you start out, it's more, hey, I'm here, I'm willing to hustle and do whatever I need to get you to the finish line. And people respect that too, because that's what I was doing when I first started.
You always got to play to your strengths. Like if you're a rookie in the game, you know, you could say, hey, this person has a lot more experience than me, but they also have 50 clients. You're my second client, so I'm gonna give you everything I got, and even if I don't know the answer, I'm gonna try as hard as I'm gonna find it. So that's I try to tell people, don't be fake. You could always, like, when people try to be fake, you can tell them right away. But I think if you know, if you just play to your strengths, be honest with them. Maybe they take you, maybe they don't, but they at least respect you, and they'll be like, yeah, you know, I went with someone more experienced, but man, I was just about to go with him because, you know, he so energetic and so played to his strengths. So,
Kid was a hustler. That is it. And you might not make the sale today, is what I tell everyone, is like, you know, everyone that I work with here, is we're not just trying to make a sale today. Even if they don't end up working with us, we want to stay in touch with these potential leads, clients, customers, because down the road, they either will need to do something again, and the experience they have elsewhere may not be great. So us staying in front of them, they'll be like, oh, you know, let me give them a shot. Or B, if we continue to follow up and professionally do it, we give updates, we give insightful, helpful advice to them while they're in the process with somebody else. Somebody else might drop the ball. Eventually it will happen. and they might be talking at a cocktail party to a friend, and be like, "Oh, I'm buying this, not having a great experience, but this person's been following up, doing a great job. Call them."
Yeah.
And you never know what you'll get from that too.
Yeah, no, that's huge. Like, you know, I always try to, like, even if a potential client leaves or doesn't go with you, you can't like be upset because, like you said, they could come back. And I think that's big. I think, like, you know, a lot of people early on in the game will just be like, "Oh, well, fuck you. Like, you're not with me. Like, you know, I never want to talk to you again." It's like,
yes,
they could have a bad experience, and now you just missed up on a second.
100%.
And like, I think just always asking, sometimes just being honest with them and saying like, "Hey, I just, you know, good luck to everything you do. I want to improve myself. Was there something I could have done differently to have you know, change your mind?" Some things, they could be like, sometimes they'll tell me, "Oh, it was too expensive," something like that. Perfect. Then I don't really want to deal with them if it's, you know, but that's okay if that's the issue. Or maybe they were like, "Yeah, you know, you followed up way too much or you're too aggressive." Okay, now I know that. So it's, you know, feedback is always great. So
100%. I would take feedback that I'm too aggressive. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It's more like if I'm not aggressive enough, then I'm like, all right, I got to go look at the process and see where can we change the process.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I have done a good job with personally over the last 3-4 years, now 5 years being in the business, is, but it's happened over the last like 1.5 to 2 years, is separate business, that it's not personal. So if somebody doesn't want to work with us as a company, it's not a personal attack on me, Gaetano, and it doesn't affect who I am.
Exactly.
It's a business decision that is separate from me personally. And that is, I look at it as like the process of, let's say, AFC, and what could I do to improve it? Dude, happened with us the first house you bought. So I was able to look and be like, all right, I'm not mad. Well, no, I was like, what the fuck? Like, but I took it personally. But now I look at it and it's not a personal thing. It's like, what could I do? Go back and see, where do we drop the ball, and how do we make sure it doesn't happen in the future? Same thing with anything. It could be relationships, business. Like, what can you do to just tweak things so it doesn't happen again? The way I look at it is, you know, 26 and 29. We've probably got 30-ish years left in business, like of building businesses if we want to continue. So you're not going to win every deal, or you're not going to get every client to come in and train, but how can you make little tweaks each day so you start picking up more and more and just get a little bit better? And then eventually it's like, you know, in 10 years from now, which seems like a long time, but in the scope of our whole life is nothing. You're crushing it at that point.
And I think like stacking days is super important. Like, everyone wants to put a certain dollar amount to be successful or anything like that. But if you just improve, I know it seems very generic, but if you just improve every single day and, you know, improve your habits, I think habits is a huge one. You know, if you used to get mad at a client if they didn't re-up or anything like that, just, you know, take a step back and, you know, wish them the best, and then it'll come back to you.
100%.
And just being like, you know, having gratitude and not thinking that, like, you know, you're the end all be all if they don't call you. So, because I felt that sometimes, you know, obviously clients went to other gyms or anything like that. So I was always just like, I would recommend them other gyms sometimes. Hey, if this isn't for you, no problem. Totally get it. You know, I would recommend
Planet
this
Fitness.
guy here. Exactly. Go off the playlist. But no, I would recommend certain stuff for them, because then it's come in genuine. And then if they want to do more personalized, then they come to me. So it's not like, I don't take it personally or anything like that. I used to in the beginning, like you said. So I think everyone does. It's just like experience.
100%. And I think you could develop and really build your business by separating it too. Because then you take a step back and you're looking at the process, and it's detaching your ego. And then it's like, all right, I'm just trying to get better. I don't care what I have to do to get better. It's like, I'm doing it not for the business. And that's huge. Let's talk about habits, because I had this conversation at lunch, like where over the last like 3 to 4 years, like I come in, I'm like super energetic. I get on the phone, like I'm like, people call me. They're like, they call me because they just want like a boost of energy. I'm like jacked up, ready to go. But it doesn't happen overnight. It's like 3-4 years of doing the right things. Or for me, it's been really 2.5 to 3 years. When we met is when it really started. And what habits do you do daily, weekly? I mean, you're in a gym every day, so I know you're lifted, but like, what do you do that helps you get your mind ready to build a business?
I think just one, taking care of your health too, from the start.
What does that
should
mean?
Be the first thing. So if you're not putting the right, you know, food in your system, if you're not getting enough sleep, if you're not, you know, doing the right things health-wise, you're going to be lethargic anyway. That's just a scientific fact. So I think a lot of people, when they're like, oh, I'm lazy, I'm tired. I mean, the first thing I would look at, I mean, obviously it's biased because I'm a trainer, but like looking at your health. Are you sleeping enough? Are you exercising enough? Are you, how's your stress level? All these things that can be controlled. How are they? And then if, then you look at the box, I'm super stressed out. I barely ate yesterday. I got 1 hour's sleep. I'm taking too much caffeine. Like all of this stuff can, so that's what I would think first of like changing those habits. Yeah. Because those are controllable. So
for me personally, I felt the most important thing is sleep, number one. Yep. If I sleep well, I'm going to eat better. Yep. And then if I eat better, I'm going to have the energy to lift and work out and run and fitness. And that's been like my like trio, and that's just like boosted my energy and now helped my business because I'm ready to go every day.
Yeah, and I think from a business standpoint, I mean, not even just being in shape shows that you're consistent, dedicated. If you continue to stay in shape, and then even if you improve. So like I'm following you on Instagram, and then I see like you doing those farmer walks, the trap art, fair for the leather. I'm like, I'm like, he's taking care of himself. He takes time out of his day to work on his fitness when he could be sleeping on the couch or doing anything like that. That's someone that I might want to work with because they care about their health, which means they'll do a good job because they show body's improving. That means he takes time consistently to say like, what areas can I attack? Like business and health is like the same thing. You look at like, all right, where am I lacking? What are my strong points, and how do I fix what I'm lacking? If I'm lacking on sleep, then let me get more sleep. If I'm lacking on cardiovascular strength, let me run more. So it's all like it's all. Once you take control of your life, you just it's all within control. So
I used to play RuneScape growing up. You ever hear that?
Yeah.
And like
I was never a gamer, but
I was such a gamer, bro. And but you'd have this like character, and you like have a bunch of skills. Yeah. And literally, that's what it feels like now. It's like I'm trying to get better with business, fitness, like every component of life. Yeah. Spiritually, like faith based. Yep. And it's fun. Wake up every day like it's so like fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we just had a guest speaker at KMK, Mike Mazzio, and he talked about there's like 4 or 5 pillars of your life, whether it's like personal, like how are your relationships with your family, friends, significant other, how's your health? Are you sleeping enough, eating, all that stuff? How's your relationship with work? Are you growing? Do you see yourself, like every single day putting effort towards work? And are your values aligned with how you're living? Because if you want to live a certain life and you're not, like that's going to eat at you. So those 4 pillars like is super huge. And you have to spend time every single day. Like don't just work all day, spend time on, texting your mom or calling your dad or calling a friend for non-work, just, shooting the shit. And I think taking time out of your day to at least attack those 4 things is like super huge.
So funny. When we sat down a couple weeks ago, living a certain life is really important. I am so much happier running my own business, taking risk than when I was previously working a corporate bond trading job. The other thing is, what did you just say? It's in regards to like lifestyle. I don't even remember what you said.
Lifestyle along the lines, you have to be living in your values that whatever you think is important to you, you have to be living that life. You can't like fake it because that'll eat you. Like, yes. If you're like, I want to help and do good for people, but you're not making good on that promise, like you could fake it and put it on Instagram and all that stuff. But if you're not truly like spending time to help someone or mentor someone, like, you're kind of like failing in that pillar, and that's going to eat at you. So
I wrote down what makes you happy. And I think it's momentum, progress, and controlling your time are the 3 things. Yep. And the momentum piece is writing down, what you need to do and then doing it. And then you'll get that fulfillment of like constantly getting better and achieving more.
Yeah. That's why I mean, even just starting the day, making your bed, doing something that you said is good for your health, like first thing. So you're just like, you're instantly like having some gratitude and then like, some happiness because you're like, I said I was going to do something and I did it. But progress is super important. So I think that's like key to happiness, like progress in your relationship, boyfriend and girlfriend. Are we making progress? Are we getting better? Progress in work. Am I, making more calls? Am I, getting more sales? Like progress equals happiness. So
do you make your bed every day?
Well, Barb sleeps with me, so she makes the bed. Shout out to Barb.
Gotcha. Yes. I love it. I started making my bed this year. It's like,
but before I was with Barb, yes, I
used to do it.
Yeah,
that's so funny. Yeah. So let's talk about that. You guys been dating now for how long?
A couple months, like 4 months.
Fantastic. Yeah. How's it going?
Everything's going, great. Can't ask for a better girl.
Well, obviously, we're not going to say it was in the shitter, but
yeah.
But I've known Barb now for, I don't know, probably like I went to middle school, I think. She's awesome. And, but having somebody that's like supportive is somebody that's dude, huge.
Yeah.
So anything that's comment on that or like that you looked for that you were able to.
It
like,
kind of just happened.
It
kind of just happened. I wasn't like looking for a relationship. I wasn't looking for anything like that. I felt that she was very understanding of my lifestyle when we like started hanging out. Like if I'm like, hey, like, you know, we're hanging out, but like the phone rings, like I gotta go call it. Like I gotta wake up early. Like all that stuff when, you know, she was like, she didn't get mad. She was like, no, I'm like proud of you. I love when you do that. That's what makes you you. Like that stuff is like, okay, cool. I could like spend a lot of time with her because I'm not, that's who I am. Yeah. Like, I mean, even if I was, you know, had $1 billion and on a beach, I would still not be happy because I need to feel like I'm like doing something productive. She knows that. I mean, when we went to vacation together, we went to Tulum and like she literally booked a room that had a gym next to it with a sauna and a cold tub.
Yeah.
Like she did that for me. So I think like little stuff like that is just like, you know, you're with the right person when they can like see that and do it for you.
Go the extra mile there.
100%.
Dude, that is awesome.
Yeah.
I wrote it down. This is what I forgot earlier that I wanted to talk about, but killing yourself chasing like the next dollar versus being well-rounded. I find like a lot of people get so business focused, money.
Yep.
And I think you'd live a better life, you know, focusing on the faith, fitness, health, and business, and like is a circle.
Yep.
And then also hitting your number, and then kind of taking it easy where you're not chasing money and you're trying to become well-rounded.
I in the beginning I was chasing money, you know, like crazy, and I don't really think it's necessarily a bad thing because it makes you hungry, and but you need to like change your focus. Like it's not bad to be money motivated in my mind because it'll make you work harder. So if I'm like I want to live in a big house one day, that means I have to go to work and I need to put in the hours, stuff like that. If I wasn't motivated, it would be hard for me to say like, all right, I could train 6 people today instead of like 11 or 12. So I don't think it's bad in the beginning, but I think it'll come full circle where you're like, you realize like, okay, why do I want that big house? Why do I want that car? Why do I want that watch? You know, it's nice to have those things, but you should want those things because, you know, it's a accomplishment for yourself, or you really do like driving that car, or you want a house so you can, you know, have a lot of people over rather than like, I want to impress someone. So, you know, nothing wrong with having a nice car, a nice watch, but it should be because like, oh, I like that style, or I love that car. I'm a car enthusiast. Like it shouldn't be like, I want to go show it off to my friends. If you're doing that, then that's kind of the wrong issue. So, and I kind of fell victim to that in the beginning of when we started because I was trying to just buy stuff for the wrong reasons. And now I'm like, you know, I don't mind, you know, spending money on something that I like that's not business related, but it should be because I want to do it, not because I'm trying to impress someone. So
love that.
Yeah.
I think when you can it comes down to being comfortable with who you are. If you could do that and be happy with what you have, it's kind of like, I don't know when it changed for me, but instead of always looking at the next thing down the road, which I still do, of course, like, and I'm always thinking of how can I build, but being grateful for what I have and like appreciating everything that, we talked about this, how far you've come.
Yep.
Like if you look back 3 to 4 years ago,
crazy.
I always say now, it's like, if I think 5 years in the future, when I'm now 31, let's say 32, versus 5 years ago, I was not even in the business. I don't even know. Yeah. I don't know what the hell I was doing 5 years ago. I was in college almost.
Yeah.
You know, it's like so crazy.
See that growth.
Oh my God, night and day. And realize you've only been doing KMK now, what, 4 years?
Yeah, 4 years. I know it seems like I've been doing it for so much longer.
Dude, same thing. Yeah. If I think like I've only been doing it now, coming up June will be, only 4 years full time.
Yeah.
And I think, where will I be in 5 years? Or where will I be in 10 years?
Yeah.
I always say that, like, so I've been doing it, let's call it 5 years, really 4, but we'll call it 4. 4 years. Where will I be in 10 years? So it's 2.5 more time in the business. But the growth doesn't happen at 2.5x. It usually happens exponentially. Yeah. So you should be 4 to 5 times farther than where you are now.
Exactly.
And that's crazy to think about and look at.
Yeah.
So being grateful for how far you've come, I think, is super important.
Yeah. Sometimes you just kind of gotta spend time on like whether it's a Sunday or whether you're not too busy, and then just kind of be like, wow, like, you know, look what you built, look how many people's lives you impacted. I think like only look like money is just one source of wealth, but like look at all like the people you impact. That's a source of wealth. Look at all the you know, friends you have, the relationships you have with different people. Like that's a source of wealth. You know, whether you have $10 million or you have a friend that will loan you $10 million because he believes in you, you still got 10 million. So it's like, you know, I think relationships, friends, all that stuff, that's why you want to be well-rounded and not just kind of only focused on one thing. So
earlier today, it was funny. I texted Keenan this video I watched on Twitter. It was this kid that goes around in probably somewhere in California, in like San Diego, Orange County, and asks older people, 75 plus probably to like 95, what would you do differently, or what advice do you have?
I think I saw that on Instagram one. Yeah, that guy. Yeah,
maybe. Yeah, and so there was like the top 10 this guy that some person liked. Keenan retweeted it, but I sent it to him around the same time. He's like, "It's so funny. I just saw this," and it was all around material items and money isn't that important, and it's about relationships at the end of the day. And I think that's so spot on.
Yep, huge.
So, what books are you reading right now? What are you doing to personally benefit?
I just
drive and grow.
Yeah, I just finished The Psychology of Money, and it really talks about that. When it pretty much just talks about it, it harps on obviously like key principles of what you think you should be doing with your money, but thinking long term and not how to chase a dollar super quick. Like everything takes time, and they gave an example of like one of the wealthiest hedge fund managers who was making $30 million plus a year, and they used like a janitor, and then the janitor invested $100 a week in an index fund or something like that for 70 years when he started out at like 20.
Yeah,
lived to 90, and at the end of his life he was worth $5-6 million. And then the guy who was making 30 million over leveraged himself. He bought 10 houses, 6 cars, and he went bankrupt, and now he ended up actually like killing himself in the book because he was just so depressed. He felt like he could never come out of the hole. But two insanely different, like, at one point they'd be like, that guy will never catch up, or he'll never amount to anything. But I think just like slow and steady sometimes does win the race, and you can't be over leverage yourself. And it kind of goes back to the point of you got to be happy with what you have, but also still building for the future. So that's something that I learned from that book of don't try to make so much money tomorrow or the next year. Think about like 10 years, 20 years, all that. So I think that's huge for me.
Love that.
Yeah, that I didn't think like that in the beginning. So
what do you I want to talk about time management. And I know you might have said something earlier. I've time blocked my schedule.
Yep.
And what I do is I usually do phone calls in the morning, outbound calls, like outbound sales calls. Yep. So I get in, work out in the morning, whatever I do, cycle, run, lift, get in for around 8:30ish for a 9 o'clock team meeting. Sometimes earlier, depending on the day. 9 o'clock team meeting. Then I'm on the phones from like 9:30 to 12:30.
Yep.
Lunch at 1 to 2, and then phone calls from like 2:30, maybe 3 o'clock until 5, 6, 7, 8, depending on what day of the week. Like Monday, I'll stay until 8, Tuesday till 7, Wednesday till 5, Friday, I'm out by 3, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And time blocking and time management has helped me tremendously. And I time block my schedule very strictly Monday through Thursday. Friday, I've lately kept as like a flex day where if I want to just go out and like, I'll wake up on a Friday, go lift. If I get a haircut that day, I'm walking around downtown, and like I'm just kind of like enjoying my time and making phone calls, dude, to like friends that I haven't talked to, not in business, just to catch up.
Yeah.
And that's what I do on like a Friday. What do you do for time management? Anything?
I think that's super big, because at first I was doing exactly like what you were, like 1 to 2 prospect calling, 2 to like all of that, like by the hour. But then I'm like, I don't want to also be like so analytical with my life where I can't have like 5 minutes of my mom calls. I just hang up. I'm like, not during this time. I can't be that analytical. But I know that it's kind of like more of a rough, because I know I've been doing it for like multiple years now. So I know what I need to get done, and I do have like somewhat of a strict schedule, but I also like allow like 15-minute blocks to just like relax, just like kind of like take a deep breath and not be like 1, 2, 3, 4. Because then sometimes you'll like go through the whole day and you're like, did I even like enjoy my day? Like, there's only you only have so many days on this earth, and you want it to be all work all the time. So I think that's big, and I think that's really good with you like doing that Friday. It's kind of like just taking the time and like don't answer. Like your business isn't going to crumble if you don't answer that one call on a Friday. So I think that's big on like delegation too, of like, I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't delegate anytime. So my schedule is like pretty similar to you. Like a lot of work gets done in the beginning of the week, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then kind of like falls down Thursday, Friday. And then like Saturday, Sunday, I kind of like, work on like expanding the business, growing the business, stuff like that, being with family. So
I love that, dude. Having that Friday flex time has been awesome.
Yeah.
Being able to kind of just do what you want there.
Yeah.
but I wasn't, when you first start the business, it was all me. Yeah. Now I have a work cell phone. Yep. So if you were to call my work cell phone, I think you got a text message today probably with the address. So like Carly monitors that, and I'm going to hire somebody else to also monitor it. So it's like we're building up systems so if somebody needs an answer, they could still get it from us. It doesn't have to be me getting back to them. Yeah. And I think that's like part of it too. Like the first couple of years, you're probably going to be doing it.
How do you feel? Let me ask you a question now. Reverse. So like, a lot of people like when they want to like train at Camp Gator, like they want to train with me, but I'm like, I have no time. Like, and I'm built in, and we want to build systems in place. Like, how do you take care of like if someone wants to work at AFC with you? Like, how do you tell them, hey, you won't be working with me directly? Like, but I manage these people. Like how do you like tell them that? Because I know that's a big thing in business.
Yeah. So you're looking to buy a home, Kev. I have an awesome team here in place. Trev is going to be your sales guy and loan officer. If you have any questions, point of contact, he's your guy regarding the loan, interest rate, how to structure it, and then from there, how to build your portfolio. Veronica is going to be the person that you need to work with to get you a certified loan commitment from underwriting. Yep. Once you go under contract, Diana's going to do a great job of working with underwriting to process your loan and make sure that any conditions we need to get you to closing with a clear to close in a timely manner, we hit that. Yeah. And then you don't work with Rose. She's our underwriter. She's awesome. Yeah. She's not going to bust your balls. If she does, let me know. I'm gonna hop in and step in. And if you run into any problems with the team, let me know. Yeah. You have my work cell phone number, which, by the way, somebody else manages, but they'll get that message, and they don't need to know somebody else manages it, but it'll roll up to me. And I say, and you're not going to work directly with me on this, but I'm overseeing the whole team. I've built out the system, and you're going to be in great hands. Yeah, and then I would, that's perfect, and then I would always kind of because I pretty much say the same thing. Like, Ant's going to handle your therapy needs. Chris is going to do the training. This person does the nutrition. And then, once a week, why don't you give me a call and I'll check in on you and see how's everything doing. Because I think if they had a personal relationship with me, that's half the reason they're going to the gym. So you still want to keep that personal 100%. Relationship with them and feel like you're not just handing them off. Because obviously people don't like when that happens. But they need to understand that, sometimes you don't have the time. Right. So same thing. I've had that problem too, right? Like I've done that, right? And now I realize how touch points. So I'm giving calls typically on Tuesdays to touch base with everybody, and just check in. How is things going? How's the service going? Working with X, Y, and Z. Yeah. If you had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you say? Yeah. If I get a 10, oh my God, it's unbelievable. Love that. Can't wait to let them know. Great to hear. Let's keep it rolling. Yeah. If it's like an 8, I'm like, oof. What do we need to do to get to a 10? Yeah. I'm just asking those questions. Yep. So that's what I say. Where's your favorite restaurant?
Favorite restaurant? Yeah. I just love steakhouses. J House in Greenwich is pretty nice. Yep. Honestly, any type of
Prime in Stamford, I think, is my favorite steakhouse in Fairfield County. Yep. Love it. But you go to the J House, you don't have the guy, Tony, who owns it, serving you the steak, sitting you down, getting you drinks, cooking the steak.
But he does come over.
But he comes over. Yes. Exactly. Boom. Literally, that's a perfect example of a restaurant we could give. Yeah. Of the guy who just goes, how's everything doing? Yep. Pops in, shoots the shit for a couple minutes. Yeah. Everything good? Can I do anything for you? No? Yeah. Okay. And by the way, if I'm like, oh, could I get a Pellegrino water? He's not going to run and get it. He's going to be like, hey, to the busboy. Yeah. Get him a Pellegrino. Yeah, that's a great example because that's kind of more of how I want to 100%. I want to know everyone that comes to the gym and I want to have some relationship with them. And my envision is going to the gym or multiple gyms or just stopping by each facility and just knowing people there, knowing the trainers and just walk around, hey, how's everything, stuff like that. That's kind of how I want my role to be now. But obviously we're not there yet, but we will hopefully get there. I'm getting close to there and I can't wait for it to happen because that's the best. Yeah. That's that's when you made it. I don't care what money you're making, anything like that. When you can just completely rely on other people and then just kind of go into work and just kind of do that, that would be winning in my eyes. When that happens, you're not only checking in on your clients to make sure everything's going okay, you're checking in with your team and saying, hey, how's everything going? You run into any problems? Is there anything I could do to support you? Yeah. How you feeling? And then you're doing it for everybody. And caring is obviously a big part of it. And it's awesome because you're doing it for everybody too. Yep. He could be going in, let's say Tony down in Greenwich, to his wait staff and asking them the same questions he would ask you or me at the dinner table. Yep. And I think that's awesome. Yeah, huge. I love it. What kind of lifestyle you want to live? What is your week? I mean, I guess we just talked, but that is it. That is it. Mix in anything else? Definitely want to. Any plans for fitness, travel?
Barb's great on travel. Yep. So she pushes me to go see different places. I definitely want to open my horizon. I'm very regimented, just like you. So sometimes I get like uncomfortable when I'm like away from that, but I know I need to like kind of take a step back, and just, the lifestyle I want to live is I want to, kind of do what I want when I want it, have some type of schedule, and then impact as many people as humanly possible. So, if we had, whether it's, going more into real estate, open up more gyms, but if I can like impact a lot of people, that'll make me super happy. And then obviously have a good relationship with, friends, family, all that. So, but kind of, I see myself like bouncing around, traveling, stuff like that. I don't really see myself just staying in one spot, forever. So,
do you want to open up more gyms, more KMKs? Is that the plan now, or we're thinking through it?
I'm kind of just like creating so many systems right now.
Yeah.
And then I want to, I kind of go back and forth whether I want to open up more, whether I just take the profits from there, put more into real estate. I definitely see like a niche in this market, and I think it could be capitalized on it. So I'm kind of like waiting for the future, like see what the future holds, which is kind of exciting.
Yeah.
I would like to like, franchise it and, sell it as one, maybe not KMK, but like, take the physical therapy side, take all the stuff we did with the wellness, with the IVs, the recovery.
Let's talk about that. We got a little bit of time.
Yeah.
What other ancillary businesses do you have? I mean, I wrote 6 down.
Yeah. So we have visionary physical therapy.
Yep.
We have meal prep.
But now, by the way, these aren't all active. So they might have been, we'll talk about all.
Yeah. So the active ones right now.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about the pros, failures, everything.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Visionary physical therapy. That's been the most
injury
successful.
Prevention.
So they do everything. So now there's a whole team. Like Ant, shout out to Ant. I think Ant would be a great guest for you to have on. He's built an incredible business within a year.
Wow.
He has multiple members on there, and they're not just physical therapy. They're not like everyone thinks traditional physical therapy. Oh, only see them when they're injured. Think of like physical therapy as more of insurance, right? Like, you might not get hurt for 10 years, but that one time you do get hurt, if you have good insurance, like it's going to be covered. So like if you take care of your body and say like, I'm going to spend one time a week doing injury prevention exercises rather than just like performance exercises to like look good. I want to make sure my hips feel good. I want to make sure my neck feels good. I want to feel good because how can you put a price on that? So that's like how he's kind of different. And then he caters to athletes, obviously, too, because, athletes, no matter how explosive anything could be, they're one injury away from just, they're almost, physical therapists are almost more important than the performance coaches in a sense, because you get a freak athlete like, Saquon Barkley, running back, right? Super explosive. The trainers don't need to do that much. He was just born that way, like God-given, right? But if he gets injured, blows out his knee, he's out. So, or like Derrick Rose in basketball. I think those are 2 great examples of, if they see really good physical therapists and they keep them healthy, like their trajectory and, how good their career is based on if they don't get injured. Think about how many case studies you can see in every sport, baseball, football. If this guy didn't get injured, what could have been? Yeah. So like people don't even spend enough time saying like, let me put time into like not getting injured and doing that. So I think that's huge, and people don't put enough time in it. So, and it's a huge key part to like the whole vision of what we want to bring to the table. And that's changed tremendously. That's been the most successful business
awesome.
outside of KMK,
Hell yeah. So do you still do meal plan?
Yep, still do meal plan.
Yep.
And this is a good lesson for just like maneuvering like weird things. So we were crushing that business. We were selling it out of KMK, but it was out of like KMK meal prep.
Yep.
So then we got a message from the health department, and they were like, you can't sell here. Applied for a license, and there's just so many steps you need to go to in order to like sell food at a place. So rather than just give up, we now have a whole delivery team that delivers the meal preps to people's houses.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So I think sometimes like, some people who work for, whatever department, they kind of take satisfaction, I don't know why, of like bringing down a business. They're like, yeah, we got you. But like, rather than just give up like what they want us to do, we just find a maneuver legal way to do it. Talk to lawyers and say, hey, is this possible? Can we do this? Yep. And then just go over there. So like maneuvering different stuff, and just like, just keeping the clients that you have, and just just rolling with the punches. You're going to get punched. You're going to get knocked down, and how you respond to it. Because that was like taking off, and then we got hit really hard with that. They were like, got to stop this, and then talk to a couple of lawyers, say, how can we do this without here? And, found a way to do that. So meal prep, super successful. Visionary, super successful as well. So
awesome. Are those the two big ones you got going on right now?
And then, like I see on the other thing, online training, Hunter Flugel has been taking over that. That has, all these has like escalated our business tremendously.
Yeah.
So now it gives people, when someone comes into the facility, they can work on, injury prevention, they can get meal preps. And then the online programming is people can come into the gym, have a scheduled workout. We have a full fitness app that they download, and every single workout's there for them. Nutrition's there for them. Weights there for them. Their steps tracked for them. Everything's all for them, and we can monitor that. So if you can't pay, $100+ a session, but you could pay $200 a month, and when you break it down, it's like, not even that much a day. Like 10,
$6 or whatever.
$6 a day to have a trainer program every single thing for you. Use the gym, use the recovery center. So that's
so they still get access.
They still get access.
So it's
to that.
open gym. That's
open gym with programming too. So they know what they're doing. They're not just going in and just kind of
winging it,
free balling it. Because we wanted to say, like, how can we separate this, from like the Edge or something like that. And like the Edge doesn't offer that. They don't have a recovery and wellness center. They don't have a app that, could track everything. And then also a trainer to, once a month and say, hey, like your numbers are down, what's happening? Or, hey, your numbers are great. Like keep pushing someone, because that's why someone wants a trainer. A lot of people know what they're doing, but they want someone to check up on them, just like a financial
accountability.
Yeah. Accountability. Financial advisor, same thing. Like, hey, you're being stupid with your money, or hey, you're not working harder in fitness. So I think that's key. So those three, booming.
Hell yeah. These two were lessons learned.
Lessons learned, definitely.
Cryotherapy and IVs. Yep. What did you learn from that?
So they were both of the same kind of thing, where it was just they were such an accessory thing where it was costing too much money to hold,
to maintain it
and run it.
So it wasn't really like your core business. It wasn't
a core business, and it was spending I do think down the future we could bring those back. It's just it takes a lot of startup money, and it was kind of like draining the business of like, oh, we got to keep supporting this, because like cryotherapy you got to fill with nitrogen tanks that are $500-$600 each tank. You gotta have a team look at it every week. It's very expensive, on top of it being a $50,000 machine. So you got to take a loan out to that and pay that. And there's a lot of, you got to have someone manage it. You got to have, clean it. There's a lot of, it's like kind of owning a boat. Like a boat's great to have, but if you don't have the cash flow at the time to just like support it and like say, hey, we're not going to make money for a few years on it. I want to have businesses in KMK that make money right away. Like Visionary made money within the first month, which was crazy. I was just like, dumbfounded by that. Same thing with all the other meal prep online.
How did you know when to cut your losses with those businesses?
That's what I think. I've also
that's like a big thing.
I've been told I'm like really good at like cutting those losses. Pretty much when it was just, I was analytical. So I do like say like, this is our goal for a year. It wasn't to make money, but I don't want to lose money. And as soon as I give it 6 months, I give everything 6 months and say like, did we really promote this enough? Did we really find the, cheapest option? Did we really like put effort into this? And if we said yes to all those and promoted it and all that stuff, and it still failed, then I think it's time to cut the losses. So with the cryotherapy, we tried everything we could, ended up selling the machine, but it was a like amazing lesson learned. And we were just like rolling so high at the time where I was like, oh, this would be great. But I didn't even look at like the numbers and say like, I was kind of just being like, business doing good. Let's just add this in. $50,000 machine takes $1,000 maintenance a month. I mean, that's a lot. That's a big chunk of change of like, if it's not, people were doing it, but it wasn't in the volume that we wanted to do. So it's an accessory thing that's like not 100% needed. Yeah. I think if it was like a big facility, like if we opened up like a huge compound, 50,000 square feet, we had multiple people and we're, I think that would be great for that. Same thing with the IVs. Yeah. So I think those are great. I definitely believe in them. We just have like different options now. So like instead of the cryotherapy, now we do the ice bath, cheaper option. You don't have to pay a maintenance team out there. The ice bath cleans itself, with the, IVs. You know, we could do like liquid IVs. We have a nutritionist on staff to help with like hydration, all of that stuff. And I also recommend different IV places.
Yep.
So I think those are two big lessons. Also, both of those are very costly for the consumer. So if your package is up, but then you also want to get an IV. IV's, you know, $250, $300. So you're going to say like, I'm going to pay $300 for the IV, $60, $70 for cryo, and then I got to pay Kev, you know, $3,000 for training. It's like, now you start to think, all right, this might be a little bit too much money. So you don't want to like just like charge people. So that was what was happening too. So kind of realized that.
I like how you make a quick decision.
Yep.
Run with it, stick with it for a little bit, and then you can improvise from there.
Yeah.
And at least you're making a decision. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck, is they like, what do we do?
Yeah.
It's like, just pick something, do it, and then revisit it after 3 months or 6 months.
The thought was there, and I liked how, because my thinking process was like, wow, no gym has IVs, no gym has cryotherapy. I'm going to be the first one to do it.
Yeah.
But my ego wasn't so big where I was like, I'm going to hold on to this and like kind of like just eat it, and it's not making as much as I think it should be. You know, I took a step back and say like, you know, I could say businesses you know, succeeded and some failed, and you know, you learn just as much from the failures as you do successes. So
you learn more from them.
Yeah, more, 100%.
I love the idea of like trying something out for 3 to 6 months.
Yeah,
I have a couple of things in mind that I'm gonna do and implement.
And then don't be worried about like making money within the first like 6 months. Just know, like, kind of say like,
whatever
hey,
it costs.
Whatever it costs, this is what I'm comfortable. As soon as I hit that, like, let's just round number. As soon as I pass over $10,000, like, I'm gonna knock it. Like, I can't spend any more. So that's what I'm going to spend into it. And then we'll revisit the fact, is it worth doing another 6 months? Is it worth taking another, you know, $10,000, put it in or put effort in, or am I going to cut my losses? So I think that's like having a number on there and saying like, I'm not going to go past this, kind of like investing in stocks and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, once you know, stop loss after that, then I'm out.
Awesome. Dude, this was great.
Yeah. I love it. Any more questions?
No, we touched on everything I wanted to. You?
Yeah, it was great. No, everything was great. So
could go rip some calls, but I'm going for a run.
Yeah.
Dude,
love it, man.
a blast. Thank you, bro.
Man. Yeah,
awesome
of course.
time.
Thanks for having
Cheney,
me.
thanks, dude.